Hi, my name is Beth Eby, and I'm here with my friend Sue Adzima. I've known Sue for several years. She's also a big part of ministry throughout the years in the nursery. Big help at Restoration Ministries. So we're here to actually discuss her testimony, her journey in life, and about abortion. So.
Okay. So,
what brought you, set you up? Yeah,
set me up for abortion.
Right.
I had met a boy when I was 14. He was 18, and I lost my virginity to him. I believed that he loved me, and at the time, I can say my parents were having problems, and I also never had a really close relationship to my dad, so there was probably a lot going on there where I was seeking love at the same time. So, but in the end, what happened was he had gone away. We spent the summer together. He had gone into the army, and he had been writing me, and I believed that this was the real thing and everything. But what happened was he stopped writing me, and then I found out that he was writing his ex-girlfriend, and that he wound up going back with her. So at that point in my life, I was so devastated over losing him and what he had taken from me.
Right.
I think too. So like I was hurt, but at the same time, I think I was so mad at men in general, or boys at that time. So I
did you know that then, or is that looking back you realized that you had an anger issue with
I think
men?
it's looking back. I don't know that I think at that point in my life I was still, I was just trying to grow and figure things out. I mean, it was at such a tenuous age. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't have a lot of support from my mom and dad at the time.
Which 14, 15, all that's those are hard ages when you have a lot of support.
Right.
And have your virginity intact and all those things and no heartbreak. So, going through all that.
And
it's
that's
even harder.
Really, I felt probably very alone at the time. But, so what happened is I felt like I could just, I was looking for love still, though, I think. And so I was doing that through sex. So I wound up pregnant at the age of 15. And I did talk, I did go to my mom about it. My mom said, there's no way that, like, there's no way you can have a baby now. There's, you're too young, and that's how she put it to me. And I mean, she never really said to me, how do you feel about it? Do you know? So, I wound up having an abortion then, and I can tell you, it tore me up inside. It did. But
so you never said, well, my mom made me.
No.
And just sort of pushed it off on her. You carried that.
I still carried it because I ultimately put myself in that position too, though.
Right. To get pregnant.
But I wasn't being given a lot of parental guidance at the time either. I mean, and I was searching for answers. There were a lot of things I didn't know better.
Right.
But I still blamed myself for getting myself in that position. And you would think that after that would have been it, but I found myself pregnant again at the age of 16, and I think because I was making so many mistakes with boys and looking for love.
You were still in that same mode of angry, but yet looking for love at the same time. Yeah.
So the second one, I think, I mean, you think, oh, that would be easier because you went through it, but no, I mean, it's more devastating, I think, because I placed more and more guilt and more shame on myself. And
like, oh my goodness, how did I let this happen again?
Right. And it was at that point I felt that I believe I thought God would never forgive me for this, never, ever, ever. And so, as I, grew older, though, I thought to myself, I had gotten married. I met my daughter's father, but I do believe that I still had issues with having good relationships with men. When I married him, I didn't realize he had a lot of anger issues, but he used to push me around a lot. But I had wanted to get pregnant, and we had seen a doctor that told us that there was 0 chance of me ever getting pregnant, that he had a very low sperm count. Okay, so
now, even though it was his issue, was there a part of you that just felt like it's because of my past?
I believed I was being
punished.
I believed I was being punished.
Yeah, it's okay to say that, because a lot of people,
I felt
even
like,
Christians who have not gone through healing, will still, like, they're waiting for the shoe to drop, or every bad thing that comes along, it's a punishment.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why we want to do this, to let people know that God is a God of mercy. Yes, he is a just God and demands justice, but that's why Jesus had to die on the cross. He was the sacrifice, and his sacrifice can cover all of our sins. We just have to receive it, receive the forgiveness, and that's what God wants for us. So that's just
and I didn't, obviously at that point in my life, I didn't see that, or I didn't feel that there was forgiveness.
Right.
I just felt like I was being punished. But I did wind up getting pregnant and miscarrying, and again I felt like this was God saying, you got pregnant, but I'm taking this from you again, like, or not like again. I'm just saying, I'm taking, like, I'm losing another baby.
Right.
Is what was how I felt, and so that's how I truly, if anybody would have ever asked me, have you ever, seen a miracle? It's definitely my daughter, because when I got pregnant with my daughter, it was against all odds, and I got pregnant, and I knew that she was truly a gift from God. There was no other way that I would have gotten pregnant unless God. And I felt that it was at that point God had given me such a great gift that I would cherish this gift all my life, because I felt like he was giving me a second chance. And so I did wind up divorcing my daughter's father, mainly because of his anger issues. But later on, I met my son's dad, and again, male issues I was still having. This has gone through. I had this for a good part of my whole life. So he was an alcoholic. He told me he was, but I wound up having a baby with him, and again, though, I said to myself, this is God giving me another gift, and the greatest gifts I've been given in my life has been to be a mom,
and you are a good mom. And I when I think of you, I think of you as a mother, and I know we connect on those levels and how much we love our children. And so that's a wonderful thing that you didn't, like, it just made you cherish your children even more, because I know that some people who do go through abortions, they have they parent a different way, maybe parent out of fear, or they sort of have a safe wall between them and their born children because of the guilt they carry from the ones that they weren't born. So thank God for that. Like, God was with you even when you didn't realize it, I think.
Absolutely. And I believe that he gave me Ashley first because she was truly my miracle child. My son was definitely, he brought him into my life to bring me back to God.
Oh, wow.
And that's the absolute truth. I don't feel like I was ever saved until I came to Restoration Ministries, and I grew so much just through him, and I just, he always amazed me. My son has such a love of God. I can tell you from the time he was in first grade. I mean, there was at Christmas time they would ask the kids, what did they really want for Christmas, and my son, this is his teacher telling me, my son says, the only thing I really want is to meet Jesus and wish him happy birthday.
Oh,
yeah,
precious.
And so my son, truly God gave him to me to help.
Right. Well, I met Jonathan before I met you or Ashley, and he was coming to youth group with his friend who brought him, and then he came to Sunday school, youth group, church, and before long, he got his mom coming.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful and so thankful. So I believe that God always has a plan for us, and it was also, while I was as I became a member of this church, and I was asked by your husband, Pastor Paul, to give my testimony about my abortion.
And how did he know?
I went to him.
Oh, you went and talked to him.
I talked to him about it.
Which was very brave.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't feel, many people I know can't even say the word if they're not totally healed.
Yeah.
So when you ended up giving your testimony in church, and I had not known before that you had an abortion, and I remember thinking how brave you were to get up there and do that. And I personally didn't have an abortion, but I've heard that so many church people have, but you don't hear anybody talk about it, because I think a lot of them, they didn't get healed, so they can't talk about it, but also they're carrying this shame or whatever, or they feel they'll be rejected, and church should be the place where you feel safest. We should be showing love and mercy. God wants to show his mercy to people. And I've always had a heart for women who have gone through it, and obviously for the babies too, and even for men, because a lot of men don't have a choice. They don't have a voice, but yet they get blamed a lot, but they don't have a voice. But anyway, I lost my train of thought, but I'll find it. Then Paul got hooked up with Trish, and when Trish came to talk about her personal story and deeper still, then that's when I was like, oh my goodness, there's a whole ministry out there. I want to be involved. So you want to talk about that?
And I, obviously doing the testimony, I felt like it was a part of my healing process, but I didn't realize until I went to the retreat for Deeper Still that there was so much more healing that is involved. And I felt such a freedom at the end of the weekend, I felt such a freedom from all the guilt and the shame that I carried for all my life. And I felt so many times that people would always just think I was just this horrible, disgusting person. And because that's really probably how I was
yourself, or Satan's telling you, this is what you are, right?
And just to touch a little bit on the things that I experienced through the Deeper Still, two things that were very, very important to me were spending time with my children in the spiritual realm. That was like such an amazing thing for me, and memorializing them, because to me, they're people.
They are
my
people.
Babies, and
they are your babies.
And so that was a beautiful thing, and just spending time with other women and sharing
and you're not alone.
Knowing you're not alone.
You're not alone. There's a lot of and isn't it amazing how everybody gets there and y'all kind of have this look on your face like, oh, almost of dread, and because we are so excited,
right?
Because we know what's going to happen,
right,
and that you're going to find healing. So we have to like tone ourselves down because we don't want to rush at you and be like, and really freak you out. But the transformation that takes place in those few days is nothing short of a miracle.
Yes,
now,
absolutely.
God just blessed you and loved on you your whole life. You just didn't realize it. But even the fact that you knew your kids were miracles and felt at that moment, God must have forgave me. I know you still needed healing, but even that was amazing. I mean, God is so good. And I think because of that, you were able to get up and give a testimony about abortion before you even went to the Deeper Still retreat. Some people can't even function, or they have it so buried deep and they have all these other issues and they're not even relating them back to this abortion issue. But the whole thing is, it comes from believing a lie. And it's with all sin. Not one sin separates us from God. Jesus Christ is our bridge to God. He is the one that connects us through his sacrifice. We have no right to look down on other people.
No, absolutely not.
For things that they have done. Sin is sin. And that's why church has to be a safe place. Restoration Ministries is a safe place. I hope everybody knows that. Anybody, and we don't take sin lightly, because that would be, if you took sin lightly, it would demean, it wouldn't honor God.
Right.
He gave up his son. That is priceless. So we do understand the gravity of sin, and that's why we're so grateful and we're so thankful for his mercy, and that's what he showers on us. And Deeper Still is a beautiful ministry that, just really, it's a miracle, isn't it? It's like unreal.
I would encourage every woman that has ever gone through something like this to really reach out, and to know that this church is doing this ministry, or going to be doing this ministry, and absolutely,
right. And right now we're with Trish Sclafani under hers. It's the Deeper Still Eastern PA chapter. Eventually, when we have the Mercy House, we hope to, begin a chapter there. But the Mercy House, that's what this is all for too, and what we want it to grow into, to reach out to hurting men and women. And even people like your mom, she didn't want you to carry the guilt, and she probably has guilt on her, and I don't know if she does, and she might have stuffed it, or maybe she thinks about it daily. We don't know. But there's a lot of people, it's not always just the woman who's carrying the child that suffers. Sometimes there's a network of people involved.
I think my mom should really talk about it, but I know she carries a burden. She does.
Especially if she knows how it affected you and how it hurt you, because she's your mom. And, yes, nobody's perfect. Our parents aren't perfect. We're not perfect. But we don't want to hurt our children, so, that's something to think about. So I just want to thank you for sharing your story. Is there anything?
One other thing that I'd like to share about the Deeper Still. That the one thing that I have found that was, it's breaking strongholds that hold you because of this, the events that led up to this, the abortion. I know in my life it's been breaking the stronghold of the feelings, the hatred that I have felt sometimes towards men in general has been horrible. And I've had to pray so many times. Thank God I have my husband in my life, and that, you know, and even to this day though with him, I have to stop sometimes and say, you know what, this isn't a man that you want to hate. This is this is the man that you want to love. But deeper still also helps you recognize some of those strongholds. And that was the point I was trying to make.
Absolutely. And that's a great point, because, and I think I said it on a previous interview with Andy, that, you know, even though I hadn't personally had an abortion, not that it couldn't have happened to me, it just didn't.
Right.
But, because I make bad choices, you know, I have things too, you know, that I had to ask forgiveness of. Okay, so, is the fact that even though I did personally do it, I learned so many tools, and I learned, you know, about the strongholds, and even one of my favorite things was the paid in full.
Yes.
And how they show the passion.
Yes.
Parts of the passion. Like, it was just so powerful.
Right.
And it's like, what more could we ask of God? What more could God have given us?
Right.
I mean, He gave us His Son. Jesus did so much. Why do we think our sin can't be covered by that great gift?
Right.
And when you look at it that way, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, Lord.
I know.
You know, it's like, it was enough. It was enough.
Yeah.
You know, and we find forgiveness, and you can grow and just.
Yeah.
But you know, when you go through things like that, if you don't get healing and you don't testify about it, then it's for what? It's just a painful past. When you get healing, that, and you grow, and you just get a new joy and peace in your life, and you turn it around. It's no longer just a tragedy.
Right.
It turns into a triumph that you share, and
you want to help other people with that triumph.
And you do. So, thank you so much for this time, and
thank you for having
being brave
me.
and for being who you are. I love you.
I love you too.
And thank you.